I think I'm still in the context. Let's look at Cameroon. Come October 2025, we have presidential elections. Everybody is hoping there's going to be a change. What do you have to say about the issue of voter apathy in Cameroon? Because as it stands, many youth are not even willing to enroll. Talk less of going to register. It's like routine. They think the routine is going to take place. How can we salvage the situation?
Madam Ebe, if I were to be very objective with you, I will beg with you to differ a little bit, because
of course
I've been in the streets, I've been in the field since 2023 with the CRM mobile team mobilizing Cameroonians to get registered on the electoral list. I will tell you that the youths are more than ever determined for change. Where there's been a very acute problem is with the electoral body, ELECAM, that at a certain point allowed itself to be bedeviled by the utterances of certain ministers who came in just to dissuade or maybe to distract them from the prime objective which they fixed, because ELECAM used to be in the streets and at the doors of churches even on Sunday, to facilitate the process of registration. Don't forget that the youths in Cameroon, they are living in abject poverty. There is a statistic that shows that by the year 2026, over 8 million youths would be dying of starvation. And the youths know for certain that they have to do something. And by doing something, they have to have the weapon which is necessary for them to effect the change, and it is their voter's card. So where we have an acute problem is in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon, because I was in Maïmen, I was in Bacho, I was in Manfé, and from there I went to Kendem, Mbeme, crossed Widikum, Batigo.
Wow. You went through the Manu division.
Yes, I tried to sample a good number of youths who are there. They are more than willing to get registered, but like I told you, ELECAM offices are locked, and sometimes they are caught between the Red Sea and the devil. They are afraid, because you know the separatists, some of them don't want anyone to be identified with the Republic of Cameroon. They want to say they are already of their own republic.
And they impose.
With this, you see that there is pressure on the ordinary youths who want change and who think they still belong to the nation Cameroon. So, like I told you, there isn't that voters apathy any longer. Remember, when you know you have a problem, you obviously will be looking for a solution to it. The CRM has been educating the youths on the strategy to be employed during 2025, that of going to get registered massively, that of voting, that of watching to ensure that their votes are not stolen, and that of defending the results of the polls if necessary. So I want to say kudos to the youths who are really believing that change can come through the ballot.
Yeah, because if you do not effect the change cannot come on its own.
Yes.
You need to be part of that.
You need to be part of it.
All right, keeping politics aside, I want us to look at the Insider newspaper. The caption of the Insider today, they talked of presidential support for those that are going for the pilgrimage. You know, we have over close to 5,000 pilgrims who have left Cameroon for Hajj in Mecca, and this has been like a ritual. Is this ritual necessary at this point in time? Does it mean that if this support does not come, they will not go for the religious journey?
Madam Egbe, we all concord that we should not tamper with anyone's faith, belief. But some of us are against the politicization of belief.
Yeah.
When the government gives incentives or support,
1.5 billion,
yes, to the Muslim faithfuls, we have the belief that it's a way of buying their consciences, especially when it comes to the vote cast during elections in Cameroon. Whereas it is against the fundamental doctrines of the Quran and even the Bible for one to act out of duress, or because you think that somebody has used coercive means for you to act, whereas you know for certain that person is not supposed to be at the place where he is. we think that this government's largesse ought to be for other denominations too, because let us take for example that Christians are not always going on pilgrimage. We've not seen the government done some gestures even to build churches for other Christian denominations who are not on pilgrimage. You understand what I'm saying? We must not necessarily go on pilgrimage before the government shows that the philanthropic, because this is a philanthropic gesture. It is not enshrined in the constitution of a nation that the government should sponsor any denomination, because Cameroon is a lay, it's a laik nation.
Yes, it's just the largesse of the head of state.
It's the largesse of the head of state. We will expect him to extend it to other denominations. But like I told you, I don't have any particular problem. We of the CRM don't have a particular problem about that. Our problem would always be that, knowing that this is the system that has plunged this country into perpetual misery and pain. We know exactly what has been happening. If you go to most regions, especially northern regions, you find children learning under the trees. You look at the conditions they are studying under. If you go even to the educational sector, you find that most teachers, you have the OTS, and then there's brain drain. Of recent, most of our soldiers deserted because of the working conditions that have run to join the war, Russia to support them in their war and all the like. We expected the government to do more, especially in these sectors, by pumping that money, maybe to boost up these sectors. But what I'm saying is, I'm not against the government sponsoring the Muslims to go on pilgrimage.
Yeah, you know, it's a routine. He does that all the time. This time it's just a coincidence.
Yes, he does that all the time. So the only problem is that of buying their consciences. Let the imams, let the Christians, the Muslims themselves take time to dissect, to analyze, to examine, to scrutinize the operations of the system in place, and even that of the head of state and his surrogates, his acolytes, those who are closer to him. And let them tell us vividly within their hearts and at the depth of their conscience, as they will all answer on that dreadful day of judgment, when the secrets of all hearts shall be disclosed, if certainly the system in place needs continuity, or it should be brought to an end.
You know, if there are some people that are glued, I'm a Christian, and I know if there are people that do not joke with their faith. Yes. I don't joke with mine, but the Muslims, I respect the Muslims, because you see them even with their prayers.
Yes.
If they have to pray, they respect their time, and I don't think somebody's conscience will be bought. It's a mere coincidence.
That's why I said that they, no matter the largesse of the head of state,
yes,
the system in place which he incarnates, because it's at the helm of the Supreme Magistracy, they should take time and examine if this system merits to be supported to continue, especially when the right time comes. And what we want from the Muslim is also to encourage them to get registered massively and be able to express their free will, their choice of to choose whoever they want, but then taking into consideration the comparative advantages that the entire nations will need to benefit from such a choice.
All right, we are bowing out. We are going into our last newspaper, which is the Herald Tribune. The Herald Tribune says critics have given 300 reasons why President Biya should step down. The next coming elections, you know, it's newspapers headlines. Now, I wouldn't be putting you in the place of the Herald Tribune critics. You are a Cameroonian and you are the CRM party. If you have 3 reasons why you think the head of state should be bound out of stage during these elections, what would that be?
The constitution that is in place doesn't give me the audacity, the effrontery, or even to express my view with a certain degree of alacrity by saying this person should bow out. If I were to say something, I think that we of the CRM have always been for the motion that the electoral laws should be fair and transparent in such a way that whosoever that is invested by a political party and is beaten in the polls should be ready to go back on retirement. That's why we've been asking President Paul Biya to ensure that the electoral system in place, starting from the board chair of ELECAM to the Constitutional Council and other relative facilities like the the governors, the dues, and all the like that are partners into the organization of election, we've always been saying that let them work for the interests of the nation. Whosoever the person, the people have decided that he should be their president through their sovereign will, their determination, their desire, such a person should be allowed to govern this nation. So President Probia, we know quite well, is an old man. If you look at his recent physical motions and displays, you understand that, honestly speaking, at his age, if I were his son, not as a politician, I would be telling him, Daddy, it's high time you left power and then be at home to rest. So we enjoy you. He's been in active service, public service, civil service, excuse me, at the age of 22, if I'm not mistaken, at the age of 22 has been President Probia left from a civil servant. He was director of the civil cabinet, from there to prime minister. Today he is president for over 42 years. It would be foolhardy, wicked for somebody to say at 92 years he should be supporting him. So I think it's but a noble duty for an evangelist who I am, even though I'm a jurist, to tell Daddy it's high time for you to go on retirement and rest.
Take a rest. So we have looked into the papers. I want you to look straight into your camera and tell Cameroonians, give a word of hope for Cameroonians, because it's in a few months. October is just by the corner. What should Cameroonians, how should Cameroonians carry themselves as we await this period?
Madam Egbe, if I want to talk to Cameroonians, I would like first of all to thank you for giving the opportunity to look into the cameras and talk to Cameroonians. Cameroonians, I'm talking as a special advisor to Professor Maurice Kamto. The CPDM, with all its fabulous means, has been unable to crush the CRM, not because the CRM is a very big party, but because the CRM is a spirit, is a vision, is a nation, and the president of the CRM stands tall because of his moral integrity. He says the people should be ready to stand for justice and not for injustice. So it's time for all Cameroonians, by and large, to introspect, ask themselves questions. Who among the candidates that will be going in for the 2025 presidential election has what it takes? And you would bear in mind that we must walk beyond ethnic and tribal affinities. Let us not judge anyone from where he comes from, but let us judge the candidates based on their moral integrity, their academic prowess, and their track record. Thank you so much.
Once more, Mr. Tifo, thank you for honoring our invitation. I will hope that in subsequent editions you are always going to create time for us to exchange on important matters concerning Cameroon and, of course, the world at large.
Thank you so much, Madam Ebe, for inviting me. I would like to use this opportunity to thank God Almighty, who has given us the grace to be alive, and God willing, if He has to renew that grace, we will be together.
Once more, ladies and gentlemen, it is on this note that we call it quit on today's edition of Well in Print. Like we said from the start, Well in Print is your bi-weekly program where we take you on a tour of news headlines as reported by newspapers around the globe. It has been a pleasure to have you this morning, and of course want to say thank you to the technical team for their undying efforts to make sure that we have the beautiful images you have today. And of course, stay put, don't go anywhere, for Pan-African Media is beaming live as I go down the step. Wishing you all a pleasant week ahead.